What's up, America? My name is Lisa Watson. I'm a former social justice warrior turned free market education activist. Think of me and my testimony as a walking, talking billboard for why Christian parents must run, not walk, your kids out of government schools. A victim of the liberal indoctrination factories posing as institutions of higher learning, I bought into the not-so-subtle suggestions by various professors that Christianity was little more than superstition from man's unenlightened past. Those same professors routinely challenged the historicity of Jesus and mocked the fairy tales of the Bible. Having never been exposed to apologetics, I soon absorbed the idea that materialism was sufficient to explain the universe. By graduation, I was an agnostic, and soon after, a full-blown atheist. My story is all too familiar to millions of Christian parents. Unfortunately, my career at the social justice factory was just getting started. Work study at the University Women's Center framed American history through the lens of race and sex. My next stop was an internship at the local Planned Parenthood. There, I quickly embraced the me culture of feminism and its pro-abortion talking points. Finally, I landed on the board of the ACLU, where my romance with the left began to blossom. My roles with the organization include affiliate board member, affirmative action officer, co-founder of the Racial Justice Task Force, president of the Kansas City chapter, and ultimately a seat on the national board in New York City. Rounding out my tour of liberalism, I was also a union steward for 5 years. Somehow, while barely noticing it, I had gone from a marginal Christian girl from Kansas to a Sex and the City worshiping, pro-abortion feminist with socialist tendencies. So believe me when I tell you that I was not looking for Jesus. But a supernatural experience and my curious nature led me to investigate the scientific evidence for God. And true to Scripture, seek and you will find, Jesus revealed himself to me. Later, during a moment of self-reflection, I was confronted with that old saying, if you're not part of the solution, you are part of the problem. I had to admit that I was part of the problem. I had been living under a false narrative where people can march and protest and litigate their way into prosperity. I had somehow accepted the myth that it takes a government to raise a child. But now I know that it takes a church to raise a child. Having mastered the tools and language of the enemy, I'm committed to using what I learned on the left to expand the kingdom. This podcast has 3 purposes. 1, connect the dots between America's 99,000 government schools and our 60-year decline in civil society. 2, challenge the 330,000 churches that sit empty 90% of the time to view America's 50 million K-12 students as a mission field in our own backyard. 3, in 1964, LBJ declared a war on poverty. 60 years and $2 trillion later, it looks like poverty won. So instead of pretending that government programs can defeat poverty, what if Christians ask themselves, can school choice defeat poverty?